First name is Mike Marchesano, Marchesano.
All right, Mark, first and foremost, I guess going back even to your Elmhurst days, growing up here in Fort Wayne, as far as your baseball career goes, what were you dreaming about as a kid?
Playing baseball, I guess. I mean, I grew up, playing Little League like every other ball player out there. It's just all I wanted to do for the longest time. Probably didn't take the traditional path to get to the Olympics like a lot of people. But, I just worked my butt off and I was able to play. I wasn't hurt. People still wanted me to play, so I just kept playing. And as years went by, I got to go over and play in Italy, and that's where my dad was from. So that's why I had the dual citizenship, which allowed me to play for Team Italy and travel with them, not just with the Olympics, but we went to Cuba and probably the baseball classic before it was the baseball classic. We played over there, France, Germany, Japan. So we got to travel a lot. So it was a really neat ride.
Yeah, you kind of touched on it right there, but yeah, just going back to that, how do you get from Elmhurst to Athens?
Yeah, again, it wasn't probably more of a traditional route, just playing here in the States, and then I got a call to go. I missed Sydney in 2000 because I couldn't get my paperwork done in time to go play with Team Italy at that point. So I waited a year, went over and played in the Italian League in 2001, and then that's how I got started with Team Italy, playing in the league, and I had all my paperwork done, so then I was able to play and travel with them.
So where were you playing here before you went to Italy?
Iowa.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Sioux City, Iowa. I was living with a host family, playing in Iowa, and somehow they got my host family's information and called and left me a message there, and that was to come play in Italy, in Rimini. And then I went the next season. So just after that, it was great. I mean, I got to see my family when I was over there. They got to come see me play. We won a championship in the league. So it was just all around. I mean, just a great experience.
Now, just for the fact's sake, in Iowa, what league was that? What were you doing?
That was an independent league at the time. Basically, it's if you're not familiar with that, it's just a league of free agents, basically. So anybody can sign with any team at any time, either during the season, after the season, before the season. Guys get released to go play in these leagues and try to get back, basically, is what those leagues are about. So
you're just waiting for the call, and the call came.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it wasn't the call to the big leagues, but it was a call that, changed my life. It took me down a road I'd never thought I'd go down. So definitely a great phone call to get.
Now, just even going back for just fact's sake again, how did Italy qualify that year for the Olympics?
You have to win the European Championships. So we beat the Netherlands, I believe, that year because they had already qualified. But that year, U.S. got beat, so they weren't even in Athens that year because they did not qualify. So it was Cuba, Australia were the powerhouses, and that's who I threw against, obviously. And lost both games, but I threw well. I knew hitting would be our weak point. We had some good pitching, but we just didn't hit the ball. So,
going back, thinking about your time in the Olympics, what is your biggest feeling that you remember from being on that stage?
Probably as my parents got to go. Being a long road, I was in my 30s at that point. They had supported me all through the years, so them being there meant a lot. So I'd say that's probably the biggest thing I take away from it.
It's a dream that a lot of athletes only can dream about doing, and you actually got to do it. Is there any type of defining moment when you step on that field for the first time in the Olympics that that it becomes surreal?
Probably it started like opening ceremonies. I mean, with all the greatest athletes in the world at the time, whether it's volleyball or Brazilian basketball or USA basketball or whatever it may be, tennis, some of these women and men are just larger than life. And again, the greatest athletes in the world. It's it's unexplainable, really. I mean, the Olympics has always been. There's a shorter list of Olympians than there are big leaguers. So to me, it was the epitome. The grandest stage of them all, to be around the best of the best.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. You touched on it, being able to go over there, represent for your family, and to be able to do that. What did specifically representing Italy mean to you?
Well, it meant a lot. I mean, being my father came over, from Italy to the States and learned English, made a living, raised a family. To be able to go back and represent Italy for him, he gave me that opportunity, obviously, from being there. And then my family there, too, seeing it and seeing what I'm doing for Team Italy. That was, I think we had the second largest amount of athletes that year with over 400. So it was just really surreal at times. I went to my dad's hometown. They had a little parade. I mean, things like that I just never could imagine happening. And it was happening, about every other day. So, I mean, it was really, sometimes I can't even explain it. It was just so surreal at times.
That's great. The Olympic baseball starting this week. Do you still watch it when you?
Oh yeah, I love the softball too. I watch those guys and girls. I know the other girl from Fort Wayne is playing for Team Italy as well, so that's nice to see. I'm not the only one that played for another country, but yeah, that's great to see. The opportunities out there for kids, college kids, research your heritage, go play in different countries. You get paid for it too. I mean, why wouldn't you? You get to travel and play the game you love, and you learn life experiences. So.
Totally. Now, what's the difference maybe from watching it as a fan, compared to competing in it?
More of a student, thinking what I would have done in that situation, looking ahead, what pitch to throw, where are my infielders, where are my outfielders, what the guy do last, things like that. So I'm definitely more of a student of the game at this point, but still, I love watching it.
You talked about how much of an honor it was to be able to play in the Olympics. What is it like to you? What does it mean to you, not only to be remembered as a baseball player, but for also your contributions to an entire country and playing at the Olympics?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, sometimes it was just so surreal. I mean, it's hard to put in words. It really is. It just being around all the greatest athletes in the world on the same stage, seeing them every day, day in and day out. They're working just as hard as you are, and I can't put one word on it, or a couple words, but it's just an awesome experience.
Going off of that, just what type of pride, even last week at the Tin Caps game, when they announce your name and you hear Olympian prior to them saying your name, what kind of pride comes with that?
Enormous. I mean, again, my path was probably not traditional. I didn't get plucked from a major league organization. I know the amount of work. I was not handed anything. I worked my butt off all summer, all winter, and I made sacrifices, and that's what you have to do to be an elite athlete. You got to put the work in. You got to want it. You got to have that fire, the desire to go to the next level, and that's what it is, and that's what the Olympics is. It's next level.
Good deal, good deal. I think one of the last ones I have where you're just at that Tin Caps game. How fun was it to throw out the first pitch?
Oh, it was fun. I had only been down on that field a couple times. I never got to play on it because it was the Wizards, I think, back when I was playing in town. So it's a great stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, top notch.
Yeah, how does it compare to some of the ones you got to play on?
A couple of them are pretty similar. Real nice big scoreboards. The grass is like fairway grass. It's super nice, super nice.